Welcome to CricTracker in the Air Live. We are covering the cricketing carnival that is happening in India, the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. Today, in the second game of the tournament, in the fourth game of the tournament, rather, we have South Africa taking on Sri Lanka. Two great teams taking on each other. It's going to be an exhilarating affair, an incredible match. I have two amazing guests with me, Anirban Bose and Pratyay Tiwari, to discuss the proceedings of the game. Pratyay, let's start with you. So you see, South Africa are coming into the tournament in top form, having recently beat Australia at home. Even though they lost their warm-up fixture versus New Zealand by DLS method, uh, they are looking pretty settled unit. So, do you think could this be the year for South Africa?
Well, see, South Africa historically has been a side which has known to, under deliver when it comes to the kind of potential they have. But if you look at the overall setup, if you look at the overall squad that they have this year, I think could well be one of the years when you will definitely back them going until the semi-finals at least. After that, of course, it is how you play your game in the knockouts because it's a different ball game altogether. But if you look at how well-rounded their entire squad is, the top order is in form. It's a captain who is gunning the runs for fun. Temba Bavuma has been pretty exceptional as well. In the middle order, you have Rassie van der Dussen, Aiden Markram, Heinrich Klaassen, David Miller. They have been giving runs. I think only one point which South Africa would be slightly worried about is having known Henrik Nortje because he is one of those gun players. He is one of those pacers who can, rattle you with just the pace. And the partnership that he would have perhaps built with someone like a Kagiso Rabada, that is something which South Africa would definitely miss. But I still think that even with all the rules out, with Sisanda Magala also going out, the replacements have been pretty good. If you look at Fellow Kwayo, if you look at Lizard Williams, so the players have experience under their belt, and it's a judicious mix of experience and youth. So I think that if you look at the squad strength, it is a side as good as any because it covers all the bases. A good top order giving you runs, a very solid middle order. And the biggest thing which South Africa would be particularly chuffed about is the fact that this year they are not entirely reliant on their pacers because usually what with South Africa is it's a side which has more strength in their bowlers as compared to their batting. But coming into the lead up of this World Cup, the kind of form that the batters have shown, the series that they won against Australia, it was an upturn from 0-2 to 3-2. So it gives you a different sort of confidence because Australia is again one of the biggest contenders to lift the World Cup. So I think preparation-wise, it's a side as good as any. And I feel that, yes, they are definitely semi-final contenders for a lot of people and rightly so.
Indeed. So we are expecting South Africa to finally take off that choker stack from their name this year around. On the other side, we have Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka, they were in top form, right, heading into the Asia Cup 2023. They won 13 consecutive matches, and but ended up losing the final in a rather bizarre manner, getting all out for 50. And furthermore, Anirban, I would like to ask you this question: like they ended up losing both of their warm-up fixtures as well. So what do you think like went wrong for them all of a sudden?
Nothing went wrong for them. It was just like warm-up games, so nothing to lose of that side. I think Sri Lanka, in historically in the past, have performed well in the subcontinents. Previously, also we have seen in the 1996 when three host nations, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India, they have defeated India in the Eden Gardens to qualify for the final and defeated Australia in the final. That 1996 team, Australian team, was a massive team to be defeated. Arjuna Ranatunga gave them their first World Cup. So I think that Sri Lanka going forward in the World Cup might perform well in these conditions because they are suited. They are good. They are good players of spin. They have good batters who can bat well against the spin, and they have good spinners as well. We have seen, though they might miss Vanildu Hasaranga, who is an experienced spinner who plays in the IPL for the Royal Challengers Bangalore, who bowls very well. And but that's a miss for them. But Dunit Velalagi and Mahesh Theekshana has been performing really well in absence of him. We have seen that in the Asia Cup as well in Sri Lanka and Pakistan. So I think that warm-up games doesn't like comes. It comes as a preparation for the World Cup. It gives you a chance to check out where you are, where the negatives or the positives are for your teams, and it gives you the best 11 before the World Cup as well.
Right, indeed. So you talked about Manindu Hasaranga. Pratyay, I would like to ask you this question. So How big a miss would be Havanendu Hasaranga for Sri Lanka? I mean, given the fact, I mean, he has been a top performer for them for the past number of years now. How big a miss will he be for Sri Lanka?
It's going to be massive because these are boots that you really cannot fill. There is Dunit Valalage who has shown some batting prowess in the Asia Cup, bowled a brilliant spell against India. But I still think Hasaranga is someone who, he's one of the top spinners going around in whichever format you talk. What white ball is something that he has aced pretty well, and I think it's a big miss because he is somewhat irreplaceable in that lineup. If you throw in, because at the moment Sri Lanka is already grappling with a lot of injury issues, and I think if they would have had someone like of Saranga's experience or caliber, it would have added a lot more balance into the unit because he extends your batting lineup and is going to definitely give you 10 proper overs, wicket taking option. So it is definitely a big miss. But I think Sri Lanka will have to back themselves for the reason that today, at least in Delhi, the track is going to be their liking. Perhaps South Africa will feel slightly out of their comfort zone on the kind of track that Delhi we know is to offer. So I think this is still a good chance, despite all the players missing. Because if you look, the injury list is really long. Even Thikshana out of a couple of games. It is not going to be easy because they are extremely toned down. You don't have Chamira, you don't have Asaranga, you don't have Tikshana. So you're relying on a lot of youngsters. Someone like a Dushan Hemanta, and it's of course a chance for the youngsters as well because we have seen these kind of games becoming make or break. You suddenly come, you are a youngster, you pick up some 2-3 wickets in an economical spell and tell the world that you have arrived at the world stage. So nothing bigger than that. And right now, of course, Sri Lanka, if you look at the lead up in the format, there has been a lot of discussion about their captain's form, how they have managed to, they had to play the qualifiers for a side that has previously won the World Cup. It is not a very ideal situation to play the qualifiers and then come into the situation of playing the main World Cup round. So I think overall Sri Lanka has been slightly turbulent. Not to forget what happened in the Asia Cup final, 50 all out. So, they have plenty of things. They have a lot of unfinished business. And I think Darshan Shanaka will definitely have his eyes on it because in World Cups, in tournaments like these, if you start, if you falter at the start, the margin of error is that much lesser for you to capitalize on in later in the tournament. So if you can start well, if you can win 2-3 games on the bounce, whatever has happened in the past is not going to matter a lot. So I think the focus should be on today's game with whatever resources you have. And I think Sri Lanka still have the sense and capacity to do that because these are conditions in which they are going to feel home. Because in the subcontinent, if you're playing in Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, the pitches, the temperatures, the conditions are more or less same. So I think that the kind of setup that they definitely have the power to trample a few sides. But yes, they have to play to their strengths, something which they have not really been able to do in the recent past. Of course, not counting those qualifying sides because beating Oman, Zimbabwe, UAE, all those sides who are not at the World Cup, it is not of much use. So I think the form in which they are going into can be slightly misleading because when you see those long lists of victories, the streak of wins, 14, 15 ODIs, one on the bounce, it comes with a caveat that you've won those, but you've won those against lesser sides, against weaker sides. And when you were pitted against the bigger seeding sides like India, the Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, then perhaps you were not able to bring your best game forward. So I think they will have to be aware and they will have to play to their strengths in the subcontinent.
Indeed, indeed. The start is all that matters. So both teams will looking to start off the tournament with a bang here in Arun Jaitley Stadium, New Delhi. We have the toss update for you. Sri Lanka have won the toss and they have decided to field first. So this is going to be a mixed pitch that will have both for batters and bowlers in it. I mean, particularly bowlers might have a dominant play during the game. Let me read out the pitch report for you. So you see there have been 26 ODIs played at the Arun Jaitley Stadium, one of which was a no result. And out of the 25 completed ODIs, 13 have been won by teams batting second. So, and the average first inning score in the last 5 games has been 208. So, it's not that high scoring game has been witnessed at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in the last 5 matches. And furthermore, the highest target chased in the history of the venue is 278. And furthermore, we also have like the last 5 matches, only 4 have been won by teams batting first. So I don't know how do you look at this decision, Pratyay? Sri Lanka have fielded first now. What we have seen from the pitch report is that 4 matches out of the last 5 have been won by teams batting first. A good decision.
See, I think you could also play a role because you are now in a situation where it's somewhat winters. You're closing in towards the colder temperatures, and Delhi, of course, we know maybe not a lot of dew at the start, but once the tournament progresses, October, November, December, these are time when you see a lot of dew also coming into the picture. And of course, when you are toned down, when you are a side like Sri Lanka, which does not have the proper strength players, it is always better to know what you're chasing, because then you can perhaps plan your plan of actions accordingly. So I think overall, the choice of toss is something you will, of course, also take into consideration what kind of strength your team has, and the fact that I said, that even in the previous two games that we have seen so far, batting has become rather easy under lights. So I think that from that perspective as well, and that is generally the trend in subcontinent. If you know the target, and if you are batting under lights, the ball comes on slightly better onto the bat. Yes, for the spinners, it might skid on a little one under lights, but I still feel that that is also a cause, because if you are backing a spinners, which is at the moment Sri Lanka's main strength, you would want to give them an option to bowl under the sun. So I think from that perspective, could be a good choice. But I feel that yes, Dew will play a role, and the chasing side might as well have a little bit of an edge.
Indeed, that we'll take a look at after the game ends, whether the decision turns out to be right or not. Anirban, I would like to ask you. So, as we just spoke about Vanindu Hasaranga not being there for Sri Lanka, so how big a responsibility does it shift on Dunit Velalage, on young shoulders of Dunit Velalage, who recently shone in the Asia Cup, and how crucial he is going to be for Sri Lanka in this game?
In Asia Cup, it's a totally different ball game because World Cup is a different, World Cup is a much more bigger tournament than Asia Cup, and he'll be playing his first World Cup. That he will be under pressure because people know Janit Velalage for his good, decent amount of batting and bowling, for his bowling as well. So I think that Janit Velalage has big shoes to fill in with Vanindu Hasaranga and Manish Shiksena missing the couple of matches, and Vanindu Hasaranga ruled out of the World Cup. So I think that Janit Velalage might come up and show the world that he is set for this stage, that he's made for this stage and made for Sri Lanka to give them a good start in this World Cup. And I think that he gives a good lower order batting option as well, being a left-hander in the middle order and middle and lower order option. So yes, he just in the Asia Cup he couldn't finish off the game against India, but the way he has shown his presence in that game, the way he has batted, the way he has bowled in that game, picking up the wickets of Virat Kohli, Shubman Gill, and Rohit Sharma in that match, I think that he might have an edge and will perform well in this World Cup as well.
Indeed, a big game from Dunit Valalage, his first ever World Cup game. It's going to be a test of his ability, of his mental fortitude, how he manages to cope up with all of that. Now, coming back to South Africa, so we have a special name in South African team, Quinton de Kock, who has served the nation for a really long time now, and he has decided to bid adieu to ODI cricket after the end of this ODI World Cup. So, Pratyay, how important this tournament is going to be for Quinton de Kock?
See, whenever you are playing, even if he was going to continue playing cricket in the format, I still think that this is the World Cup. Nothing bigger than this. Of course, the overall hype around ODI has been dwindling, but still, this is what you dream of. Whenever you want to become a cricketer, you want to express yourself at the biggest of stage, and I think there is nothing bigger than the World Cup. So here, his retirement aside, I still feel that this is a very big opportunity for him as well. He has been a long time servant for South Africa, and scored plenty of runs, holds a very important role in the team as well, keeping wickets, gives an extra aggressive option at the top of the order. So I think he's a crucial cog in the team. And now the fact that he knows that he is not going to play after this in the format, this becomes all the more important to finish on a high, because we know that he is not someone who is very old, still has a lot of cricket left. But the changing landscape of the cricket, at the moment, where you are seeing that T20 leagues are mushrooming and players want to kind of, in Quinton de Kock's own words, he wants to top up his earnings at this point in time, which may not be a wrong thing to do, because ultimately that is what everyone is working their way out for. So I think it becomes an important tournament for him as well, because he would want to finish on a high. And he has been an important part in the success that South Africa has got into the lead up to this tournament, because over the years we have seen that ever since he came off the blocks, as a young player who got three centuries against India in a series, ever since those days he has been a player who has always delivered up top. And I think that overall setup, if you see of South Africa, the kind of role he plays, it's a very important one. So I think de Kock, you can have your eyes on him. Definitely a player to watch out for. And now that he's retiring, he would want to make every single use, of all the opportunities that are coming his way. 9, 10 ODIs, score as many runs as you can, and tell the world that, because it's a different feeling when you go out on a high, and when you tell the people that you still had game left in you, you still had runs left in you, but you decided to hang your boots. It's a different feeling altogether. So I think a crucial tournament for him, of course, for South Africa as well.
Indeed. It reminds me of Glenn McGrath, I mean, who bid adieu to the international cricket in 2007 World Cup by winning the player of the tournament. So, indeed, if you want to sign off on a high. The playing 11s for today's game is out, and we have a World Cup debutant, the exciting prospect from Sri Lanka, Matisha Paterana. So he'll be making this debut today, a World Cup debut. He bowls with that similar slingy action as the legendary Lasith Malinga, who announced himself on the grand stage of the Cricket World Cup with those 4 consecutive wickets in 2007 edition. So, Anirban, can we expect the same, something similar along the lines from Matisha Patirana heading into this tournament on today's game itself?
Mm, Yeah, definitely we can. He can be a bowler to watch, player to watch out for any side because he has performed in the IPLs with the experience he has gained from under MS Dhoni's leadership by playing in Chennai Super Kings. I think he knows the conditions, he knows the pitches, how to bowl here and how the pitches behave after in the first innings and in the second innings as well. So I think yes, Matisha Patirana can be with his slingy action. He might be under pressure because this is his first World Cup, but I feel that he might play freely because there is no like such immense pressure on him like the star players of the Sri Lanka South Africa team. But I might take that Matisha Pathirana might be a player to watch out for, and coming into a mixture of a good side, he given chance, he might be excelling in this World Cup as well.
Indeed. So talking about this one more game happening at the moment right now, this game between Afghanistan and Bangladesh, where Bangladesh have bundled out Afghanistan for 156. They have been stuck in the spin twins of Shakib Al Hassan and Mehdi Hassan Miraz, and Afghanistan will have their task cut out when they come out to bowl. And Sri Lanka will have, and South Africa as well. They will be looking to start this tournament on a bang with a positive start to this Cricket World Cup 2023. Well, that's it from us in CricTracker in the air live. We hope to join you once again after the game ends. That's it from us today. Good luck for both the teams. Thank you very much, Nirbal and Pratyay. That's it.